It's very rare that we read stories about children committing serious crimes, and even rarer when it's a murder charge. Murder is such a heinous crime that even the motives driving adult killers remain a mystery. Understanding what drives a child to kill is even more difficult. It could be small quarrels, fighting over toys, jealousy over some item, but sometimes it's just a strong desire, a curiosity to know what it feels like to kill someone. Hello, it's me again, and today we'll talk about a murder case from 2007. This might be the most brutal and terrifying case I've ever researched, where both the victim and the perpetrator were not yet adults. Born in 1991 in Santa Catarina, Brazil, Daniel Petry had always been a rebellious and very violent person since he was a child, reacting extremely violently to the smallest provocations. Therefore, his parents sent him to psychological therapy sessions, but Daniel Petry dropped out of these treatments and later quit school. At home, Daniel spent his time watching Brazilian TV shows, surfing the internet, and spending most of his time playing an online role-playing game called Tibia. It was in this online world that Daniel befriended and frequently chatted with a 12-year-old boy living nearby named Gabriel. Gabriel's parents were good, polite, and educated people. One day, Gabriel asked Daniel if he could borrow 20,000 currency in the Tibia game. Daniel agreed with the promise that Gabriel would pay it back. Sometime later, Daniel started asking Gabriel to return the virtual money, but Gabriel broke his promise and also blocked him from all his online contacts. This made Daniel extremely angry. He then called his mother, who was in Nova Trento, at 9:30 a.m. on the day of the crime and asked what time she would be back. Knowing how much time he had, Daniel went to knock on Gabriel's door and asked if he could come in to apologize and reconcile. Gabriel opened the door and let him in, because after all, they were still friends. This was a mistake the boy would regret. Daniel immediately closed and locked the door behind him. He quickly rushed to Gabriel, beating the boy brutally and savagely. Afterward, Gabriel threatened to report Daniel and tell his parents about what had happened when they got home. Hearing this, Daniel absolutely didn't want that to happen. Daniel Petry tried to murder Gabriel with a cable. When finished, Daniel decided to hide Gabriel's body in a storage compartment above the ceiling in the hallway. But when lifting the body, he realized it was too heavy to do alone. Daniel went to get a knife from the kitchen and a hacksaw from the garage so he could reduce the weight of the body by removing the legs. It is hoped that Gabriel had fainted from shock by then. Daniel again tried to stuff the body into the trapdoor space above to hide it, but still lacked the strength to do so. He then left the body on one side of the door and the legs in the hallway next to an iron saw. The horrific scene took place right at the main door area of the house. As soon as Gabriel's brother came home and entered, he immediately fell to his knees, crying and calling for his mother and for help. Another local neighbor saw the body and reported it to the authorities. When the authorities arrived, they found an online chat conversation between the two boys on a website where they had argued about this issue and recorded it as evidence. Now they knew who had entered the house and was responsible for all this. Daniel Petry was arrested immediately after admitting to all his crimes without hesitation or remorse. The police were amazed at the detail of the story Daniel told. He recounted every action and feeling he had that afternoon with Gabriel. He only became angry and shouted when trying to deny claims about his homosexual tendencies. But medical examiners concluded that Gabriel had been sexually abused multiple times, and that while Daniel was severing his legs, Gabriel was still alive before dying from blood loss and shock. Daniel Petry had to enter a juvenile rehabilitation center to be sentenced in September, with only 3 years of educational and social punishment. When arrested, Daniel vowed revenge. When Judge Pereira asked if he had any final words of remorse or apology for his actions towards Gabriel's family, Daniel said, "Gabriel was a coward and a thief. He's burning in hell right now, where I sent him. And when I die, I'll find him in hell and complete my revenge." Judge Alvaro Pereira sentenced Petry to 3 years in prison in September 2007. Yes, that's right, you didn't mishear, and I'm sure I found the correct information. 3 years in prison for such a brutal murder is truly unfair. If we look deeper, we can find some other cases judged in Brazil that are equally illogical and unfair. It's all because of the legal system in Brazil. Remember the 20,000 virtual currency in the game that Gabriel owed Daniel? I wondered if that amount was really big enough to make Daniel so angry to do these actions. And guess what? That 20,000 currency was worth about $1.75 USDs at that time. After this event, many Tibia players around the world had strong reactions, and some completely quit the game, not wanting to be seen as potential criminals for playing a game similar to a murderer. Petry himself also said that it was this game that drove him crazy. The Tibia game system also had some actions to honor Gabriel. After serving 3 years in prison and being released, there are no documents about Daniel's whereabouts. I tried to find out more about Daniel online, hoping to find some other information about him, and I really couldn't find much. Because this case happened in Brazil and quite a long time ago, it's also very difficult to find everything back. All I have now are 2 photos claimed to be the current Daniel from a Spanish-speaking blogger, and some information like he now has a wife and children. Of course, none of this is verified. I used to play Tibia, and there were many players from Brazil who took this game very seriously and treated it like real life. I remember in 2003, when I was about 14 years old, I was threatened by some guy who lost his game account and blamed me for it. It's truly unfortunate to witness such violent behaviors occurring just because of unreal electronic things. I'm a player from Poland. This game was also extremely popular at one time where I live, especially during the time I was in middle school. This game demanded a very high level of competition. Players were usually very serious about playing the game. Importantly, the punishment for dying in the game was also very severe. Try to imagine an entire neighborhood full of kids all playing this game. I wouldn't be surprised if conflicts in the game turned into grudges in real life. These are the comments from Reddit users about the Tibia game, where the conflict between Daniel and Gabriel began. If by chance any parents watch this video, I hope they don't immediately forbid their children from playing games and going online just because they learned about this bad news. I myself am also someone who really likes to play games and had a period that could be considered addicted to games. But games have helped me a lot in life, as most of my English skills also came from playing games. Moreover, there are games that give us skills such as thinking, reasoning, and reflexes. But games also have their downsides. Typically, when the attraction of the game is too great, it can cause players to become addicted, leading to excessive and uncontrolled gaming. But what doesn't have its downsides, right? Anything in excess is not good. I think the most important thing is that we should try to maintain a balance between our passions and hobbies with other things in our lives. This is also something I hope young people can understand and develop themselves in a better direction. The video ends here. Please comment below if you want to discuss anything further. If you find this video interesting, you can help me by liking and sharing. And now, I wish you all the best.